So what we have available is two different packages. We've got the Mariner available in a ready-to-fly package and also in a full FPV package, which is a first-person view that comes with everything you need to get it up in the air with ground monitor station, everything. So this is the first package here, which is the ready-to-fly, the RTF. And this one, you open up the case, you can see it comes in custom cut foam. You've got your Mariner, we've got the new landing gear, it's all carbon fiber landing gear. We got the charger for your batteries, all the wiring hookups for the battery itself is right there, and your 7-channel Devo 7 radio. Up here you've got your spare tools kit with the wrench for assembling the propellers, and of course your propellers store right up here as well. So that's the RTF kit, ready to fly. Comes complete, one box, ready to go. The one we're here to talk about today is the FPV package. This is the FPV package, which comes complete with everything you need to get the Mariner up in the air with stabilized gimbal, video transmission to the ground, LCD monitor, everything. As you can see, it comes in the same custom cut foam package, but we got all the little extras in their own little hiding places that we're going to explain to you where everything is, what everything is, how to put it together, and how to get this system up in the air when it first arrives. So to start, we're going to take everything out from the top one piece at a time, and starting with, this is the sun screen for the LCD screen. So that's our LCD right there. Diversity dual antenna receiver on the top. Just going to set that there with its cover. Whoops, a little bit of breeze here today. In the FPV package also we come standard with carbon fiber propellers. One of the nice things I like about working with FPV Factory is that they want to hear from us. They want to know what we think is going to make their device better. One of the first things I talked to them about was the landing gear. The system came complete with the landing gear, which we still included in some of the packages, but this is the original landing gear, as you've seen in some of the pictures that we may or may not have already sent you. This landing gear is more of a permanent fixed landing gear. Each piece assembles with 4 screws, so you've got 16 screws to assemble it. First thing I noticed with that was there's no way I'm going to take that apart every single time I want to go to the field or go to a job site and put this thing together and have to take all these landing gear off one piece at a time or one screw at a time. 16 screws, forget it. So they immediately went to work, and within 2 weeks they came back to me and says, well, what do you think of this? And they came back with this really, really nice, detachable, quick release landing gear. It's all carbon fiber, foam skids, everything. So we got one skid there, one skid there. We're going to take out the Mariner. You can see it's just into its cut foam piece here now. So we take the Mariner out. It will sit on its own rubber grommets that you see on the bottom. And you see I've already got this one outfitted. So we've already got your mount for the gimbal. We've already got your battery hooked up, your video transmitter, everything is ready to go. But this is what we're here to look at right now. They've made the permanent mount sockets out of CNC machined aluminum, and then the carbon fiber landing gear simply plugs in to the sockets. So you put in one set, and the other set. And of course, first question is, well, how does that fasten in? Because if you pull on it, it just comes out again. Well, this is the nice thing. As soon as you put carbon fiber under tension, it locks itself in place. So the landing gear is all flexible and mobile. You just simply pull one of these over 1 inch, locks in place, and voila, your landing gear stays in place no matter what. Next, we're going to look at the radio. You pull the radio out. You see we've already assembled it with the mount for your LCD screen. It's all carbon fiber, fully assembled. Now this is the Devo 7 transmitter, and this is what comes stock in the FPV package, and this is a great receiver. We got 7 channels, computer programmability, and a 10 model memory. You can do anything you want with this. You can have 3 to 4 different Mariners in the shells all set up, everything with their own receivers, and have each one programmed on its own memory channel within the radio. So you just switch back and forth between whichever model you want to fly that day, which is what I do. I've got several setups. I've got one for professional video if I want to have the fully stabilized gimbal with video transmission, ground station, everything like that. I've got another one if I just want to have one that I just throw in the water with the waterproof housing on the GoPro and take off and just fly around the boat for the afternoon. So it's nice. You don't have to change everything out. You don't have to have multiple radios, anything like that. It's all just set up and you can do it right from one 7-channel computer radio. Great little radio. So what we're going to do here is we're simply going to move this piece here. It pivots like that, just like so. So we're working on the radio. We're just going to assemble the LCD view screen that gives you your viewpoint from on the ground of what the Mariner is seeing in the air. You'll notice that there's one screw in the base of the LCD screen. We're simply going to undo that, and this is where you'll need one tool, and this is the only time you're really going to need a tool, is just for assembling this screen. Center it up, tighten it down just like that, and that's done. Now you just tilt it into place. Good to go. Okay, so we've got the Mariner already assembled, it's got its lid on, we've already got the radio assembled, screen is on. Next thing we're going to do is pull out the gimbal. And the gimbal is stored right here. You can see it right here in its own little pocket in the case. Now this package is for a client that we already put together, and they've already purchased the G3 camera from FPV Factory as well. So you can see it's almost identical to the frame size of the GoPro, same type of settings. Doesn't have all the wireless functions, Wi-Fi, anything like that, because in this application, you don't want to have Wi-Fi. They've already found that Wi-Fi interferes with the radio transmissions, and that's when you end up sometimes with runaway drones. The Wi-Fi from the GoPro confuses the signal and the drone, and it doesn't know which to accept, and it just gets lost. So this camera is perfect for FPV applications. It's simple, robust. It mounts perfectly into the dual axis gimbal. Everything's already set up. And one thing you'll also notice is that we include an extra plate in our kit. So this gives you dual options. In one instance you want to fly with stabilized video, then boom, you just put this on in place right away and it's ready to go. If you just want to fly the water mode and take a waterproof GoPro, then you just put on the secondary plate with your GoPro glued on that. As you see, I've got one right here, and this is what I use. Whenever I want to do a quick switch over and go into waterproof mode, I just take the one that's glued to the plate there, put it onto the grommets, and by then you'll have removed your battery, your video transmitter, because you're not going to use that in waterproof mode, but everything else can stay. The gimbal is already pre-configured and pre-wired. It's ready to install. All you have to do is assemble it onto the grommets of the plate that's already been assembled onto the Mariner. You'll see there's two wires coming out of it. The black and red obviously is just the power, and you see it's near the front. You just want it to be routed near the back so that it comes out close to where your battery is. The other wire, this wire here, is a servo wire, and that's your gimbal control for the roll, because you're going to want to be able to tilt the camera up, down, okay, and that's what this wire is for. So it's already hooked up where it needs to be, and you just leave that one in place all the time. It's on an extension jack so that the wire that's installed in the Mariner is always hooked up. It's hooked up to the NAS-M, pre-wired for you, and it can be run through the vented cover on the top cover of the Mariner anytime you want, and just plugged right into here whenever you're using the gimbal with stabilization. So now we're going to mount the gimbal onto the Mariner. Again, make sure your power wire is pulled through to the back. Just line it up, and you've got your 4 silicone grommets. Basically just squeeze one at a time, push it up through the hole, and then just keep feeding it. And it takes a bit of practice, but after a couple of minutes you'll get the hang of it, and then you just go from one to the next until all 4 are fully engaged into the top plate. So the gimbal is now in place, it's installed, and it's ready to go. Okay, so the only thing we need to do now is the electrical hookup, and that is the red wire that we just routed through there. And you'll see that this wire that hooks in to your video transmitter, it's already been hooked up, now also has a pigtail on it, and the pigtail is there so that you can hook up 2 accessories from the one battery outlet. So that is where you're going to, this pigtail right here is where you're going to plug the gimbal in, just like so. So now your gimbal is hooked up to power, and when we connect this lead to your battery terminal, everything's going to turn on, including your video transmitter, the gimbal, everything. So all we need to do is line up the camera, point it forward, and then this lead right here just plugs right into the USB charging port for the Mariner, and that's what gives us our video output right there. There's also an optional lead that comes out of the GoPro cable as well, and that's this one here. If you want to, you can take an extension cable that you can pick up at any hobby store and wire this one into the Mariner and plug it into your radio receiver into a vacant port, and it will actually provide power to the GoPro so that you don't have to worry about running out of battery power. It will continually charge the GoPro as you're flying, just off the main battery in the Mariner. This is the new vented cover that FPV Factory's come up with that allows barometric pressure to equalize within the unit so that when you're flying in waterproof mode, you will be able to maintain a hover and maintain altitude control as best as possible as well. Those of you familiar with the waterproof systems know that the only thing that presents a problem is barometric pressure. The barometric pressure sensor installed in the NASA electronics is internal. So if you completely seal the unit off and make it waterproof, that means that there's no change of air pressure within the unit as you go up and down, so there's nothing for it to measure. So it doesn't have any idea about what altitude it's at, or if it's gone up or if it's gone down. With this cover here, what they've done is they've given you a between option. It's not completely waterproof, it's water resistant, which means you can still fly it off the water, it can take splashes, anything like that, no problem. But if you do have a crash landing or a mishap or it lands in the water, of course it doesn't normally matter to the Mariner, but with this cover on, you will want to get the Mariner out of the water as soon as possible, because this cover is much like a Gore-Tex fabric. It allows air to transfer through but repels water. But if you put water pressure on it, such as if the Mariner is laying inverted in the water, it will put pressure on the membrane, which will allow a slight amount of water to get through, and over time that will build up to enough that could cause damage to your electronics. This one is the full sealed cover. You see there's no perforations, nothing on that. It's a full plexiglass cover that mounts right into position. Everything is waterproof. You can throw it in the ocean, take off, fly, land, crash, anything you want, no problem. There's one more wire in the box here, and that's in the compartment that your gimbal is stored in, and it comes in this little silver packet, and this is your programming wire. This is a USB cable, and what it's designed to do is plug into the LED from the NASA control unit inside the Mariner. What this is here for is so that you can plug your Mariner into your computer, download the software that is the assistant setup software, and the software will go through and show you all of the settings that are programmed in the NASA controller at the time. You can make adjustments, it will tell you if there's any updates required, you can set your gain controls, control the gimbal status, everything is done through this wire. But we're going to go over that in a separate video, so you can look for that in the playlist as well. Okay, and that's it for showing what's inside the box. Next thing we're going to do is take it to the field and we'll assemble it as far as just putting on the propellers. We'll do our first spin up, get it into a hover, and show you how it works from there.